join us right now to talk Netflix as well as Joker's fall at the box office. We mentioned that earlier. Disney's recovery from Hurricane Milton and so much more. Puck's Matt Bellany. Good morning to you, Matt.
Morning.
Let's talk Netflix first in terms of what you're expecting on the earnings front, but also maybe you can get into what you wrote about in the newsletter recently, this brouhaha over Netflix's business model, which is effectively potentially preventing it from acquiring and getting access to certain films that now want to be back in the theaters.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think on earnings, I think everyone's looking at subscriber growth. They're looking at growth in the advertising tier because that's a crucial metric. And also they're looking at engagement. I mean, that's the metric that Netflix is looking at most closely is what are people watching? How much are people watching? And is that number going up after the password sharing brouhaha? Now, on the front of whether they're going to be able to get the top projects, this is a real issue for Netflix. On the film side, we're not talking television, we're talking film, where Netflix is trying to compete with the major studios. They have a real problem because the top filmmakers still want movies to go to theaters. And Netflix, unlike Amazon, Netflix is saying theaters are not our model. They experimented with putting movies in theaters. They are just not going to do it. And we're seeing on this Margot Robbie movie, there's an adaptation of Wuthering Heights that is in the market right now from the director of Promising Young Woman and Saltburn, with Margot Robbie going to star in this. And Netflix really wants it. They're offering $150 million for this movie. And Margot Robbie and the filmmaker have not decided whether they want to go to Netflix because of the theater issue.
Let me ask you about the NFL for a second in football.
All right,
how much of that is a play on engagement, literally just trying to capture users who are already subscribed and prevent churn? How much of it is an attempt to try to capture new subscribers that maybe aren't on that platform already? And are there enough of those?
Well, I think it's both, but I think especially on the latter front, there is a cadre of people out there. And we've seen it with when Peacock had an exclusive NFL playoff game. We've seen it elsewhere on Amazon as well. There is a cadre of people out there that will follow the NFL wherever it goes and perhaps may not be subscribed to Netflix because they don't see themselves as wanting scripted content or wanting reality shows. And they think that those people will subscribe specifically, it'll push them over the edge. But it's also an engagement play. I mean, Netflix has a huge initiative around live events. They're not even calling this sports. They're still saying that they're not in the sports business because they don't have one of the big major sports packages. This is essentially a stunt, using the NFL on Christmas Day to lure people over and to have people sign up or tune in just for these NFL games.
Right. Let's also talk about
test. Okay, awesome. Okay, so thank you for telling me that. That was not supposed to be on, so yeah, we should get it. What I was trying, what I made it so I could do is I could have I'm not even gonna bother trying to get into this. It should be fixed. Should be fixed there. Looks like my only issue is I only got one live stream going on YouTube, but that is not the end of the world. We can survive with that. There we go. You were enjoying the background news? We'll have that up in a second. Waiting for something interesting here. We can pull that up, see what's going on there, and then we'll come back once we have some more things to get into. Volume is low. Of course it is. Now the volume is good. Now the volume is good. Taylor, good to see you. Hope you're doing well today. It's the Monday morning live stream. Everything needs to be recalibrated here. Everything needs to be recalibrated, but looks like we're back. Perfect. Thank you, Silver Days. Good to see you. Jim Cramer said he doesn't see how Trump wins. Yeah, that's one of the best things we could get for Trump winning. Jim Cramer saying he doesn't see how Trump wins. 200 people watching on X. We have over 200 on YouTube. So guys, make sure to smash those like buttons, retweet. Really appreciate everyone doing that. Bitcoin and XRP had a nice little move over the weekend. We're seeing a nice little recovery. So we're going to talk about that a decent amount. Just waiting to see if there's any questions or anything else is brought up in the beginning. There are some interesting things happening this week. There's that John Deaton debate against Elizabeth Warren. That should be really interesting. That John Deaton debate against Elizabeth Warren should be pretty interesting there. We'll definitely have to live stream that. CPI data again. No, there shouldn't be CPI this week. $1970 says Silver Days. It was just the two of us on the other stream. Do I have another live there? I don't think there is another live stream up. Oh, is it the scheduled one? Is it the one that's scheduled? I'm still trying to figure out what's up with the scheduling thing. It lets me schedule a stream and then I go live and it hits me with a new live stream. So new streaming software that every single one has all these different quirks. 1970, good to see you though, brother. Hope you're doing well. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. We'll get it under control at some point. Yeah, I totally know what happened. It's your thumbnail. How was my golfing skills? Golfing was all right. There was like 50 mile an hour gusts. So that was tough to play in. Oh yeah, that other live stream was deleted and I rechanged the name to this one. So I understand the confusion. I got it. Yeah, so there's like 50 mile an hour winds in the Northeast. That didn't make it easy to golf, but I still beat one of the friends who I had a little bit of a competition with. So we pulled out on top. The wind was brutal, but still a lot of fun. Ripple Swell this week, absolutely. It's going to be really interesting to see what comes out of Ripple Swell. Looks like we got a new Brad Garlinghouse interview. Let's take a listen to this real quick and see if we get anything interesting here. I don't think I've actually seen this yet, so let's take a look.
As Alex described earlier, in Chair Gensler, instead of saying let's codify that, let's sit down, they keep hiring more lawyers to bring more lawsuits. And again, it's just a silly way to approach regulation through enforcement is not the best way to approach this problem. And that's why we've been working with people on Capitol Hill. And again, on both sides of the aisle, it just happens to be this became partisan for maybe good and bad reasons, and you're seeing the Republicans kind of lean into it more so than the Democrats.
We only have about 30 seconds left, Brad, but I am curious here about your relationship with the SEC. Are you in settlement talks at all with the agency right now?
You know, I can't comment on that specifically. Suffice it to say that the ruling has been clear from the judge. There's one final piece, as you referenced, about these investment contracts that are sold to institutions. We expect resolution very soon, but can't predict.
Oh, so it looks like this is not a new interview. Sorry about that. Came across my screen now. DXY 103. Yeah, the dollar's on a bit of a spike, and we're going to have that until we ultimately get that Fed meeting. Does anyone know when that Fed meeting is? Oh, you think Ripple launches RLUSD during Swell? That's an interesting prediction. Settlement this week. I don't know about that. Gary, we'd need Gary Gensler gone. I don't think Gary Gensler's settling anything. I would love a settlement this week, but can't say I think that was highly realistic. Oh. Here we go. This is from XP Market. This is interesting. It looks like the amount of XRP in the automated market maker is doing pretty well. It looks like over the past 2 weeks, we actually went from about 12.4. We've added about 1 million XRP to the automated market maker. Good to see. 8% growth week over week. Week over week is pretty quick. Week over week annualized at 8%. I mean, you're looking at almost 300 to 400%. So, XP Market, good to see you. Really enjoying these recaps you guys are posting. Really enjoying these recaps. Really nice to see how the automated market maker is kind of just slowly building liquidity behind the scenes. So, we appreciate that. Take a look real quick. What else is going to the news? We'll jump into the price chart. We'll jump into the DXY. I know a lot of people are commenting on that at the moment. Want to figure out when the next Fed meeting is real quick. Let's take a look. Probably going to be the biggest thing we're watching in the short term, other than obviously Ripple Swell. Oh, wow. All right, we're on a bit of a break here. We don't have another Fed meeting until November 6th to 7th. It looks like there's not one in October. That's interesting. I assumed we'd have one in October, so it looks like we're not getting another Fed meeting until November, which is interesting. Okay, and I just figured out that I can... Okay, that's cool. I see the growth in SUI. Wonder if XRP would be doing the same if the SEC wasn't keeping this case going. Yeah, I don't think that's really part of it. I think SUI is just a new and emerging blockchain. It's definitely got a lot of hype behind it. We'll see how things end up. From what I understand, SUI is a great project and SUI has a lot of potential, but we need to understand SUI has to do a lot of growth in order to catch up to a lot of the relationships that Ripple has built out for the XRP ledger, which is certainly possible, but without clarity, without actual rules from Congress, everyone's going to be in kind of a quasi-similar position than Ripple, just the way it is. Until something changes on the regulatory front, everyone's kind of stuck in the same mess. Did I see Tesla? I did see the Tesla robots, the Tesla event. I, as a Tesla investor, enjoyed that a lot. SUI is a straight VC coin. Be careful. Yeah, it's very similar to Solana. My problem is if every single time you have a chain that's slightly faster and everyone just keeps on pivoting, like you go from Solana to SUI to the next thing to the next thing, there's not a lot of loyalty or not a lot of long-term ecosystem being built up. It's like, let's just wait until the next thing's out. Fed meeting right after the election, strange timing. Yeah, I can't believe the election is that close. Election is right around the corner. That's going to be another big thing. So we have Swell this week. Obviously, we have the election coming up. There's a lot going on. A lot of different stuff that can really change this market pretty quickly and shake things up in a big way. Isn't Facebook behind SUI? I don't know. What did 1970 say? For some reason, his question never came up on the stream. Roger, I saw you chip in. Weird. I don't know why that didn't show up. Oh, we're just slightly later. Okay, yeah. institutions are just going to be ultra conservative until the case is over. Ripple can still grow everywhere else, but I do think it does have some impact, unfortunately. Institutions are going to be skeptical, kind of pushing back on the SEC's declarations. So while it doesn't really make sense because XRP has already been declared a security, I do think it does have impact. Here's the thing. Here's a great example of it. Oh, back my meta. Interesting. Okay. So here's a great example why it's such a big deal on the case side. The other day, Bitnomial filed for an XRP future, so XRP options. The SEC essentially went to them and said, hey, we think XRP is a security. You're not allowed to do that. So behind the scenes, what the SEC is doing is the SEC is going to all these different people. And if they're trying to release an XRP related product, they're saying, no, you're not allowed to do that. So until that's over, until the SEC is put in their place there, they're going to continue to essentially try to chill the entire ecosystem, which unfortunately, I do believe is going to have some level of success, because if you're still trying to feel your way into blockchain and you're about to launch on the XRP ledger or use the XRP ledger in some way, and instantaneously you have the SEC breathing down your neck saying, okay, if you do this, you're going to get sued because XRP is a security. That obviously makes it extremely difficult to be able to launch with any kind of confidence. So it's just the way it is, unfortunately. I do think the case is not going to go the distance. I think it'll get wrapped up beforehand, but regardless, that impact is there. People from Meta left and made Sui. Okay, interesting. Will compete with Solana. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely massive competition for Solana. I think the biggest thing for why the case is impactful is just because the SEC is clearly going behind closed doors and essentially doing whatever they can to chill the ecosystem. Oh, good call, Roger. Thank you for that. Check amendments. We should check amendments. We haven't checked into the amendments in a while. Taylor says Cointelegraph put out an article apparently about early buyers of Sui sold 400 million into the last pump. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. And that's one of the reasons these VC coins get so much hype, is because all these VCs get special deals on the token and then they just dump them later on. So for them, it's a lot of hype and a lot of marketing to pump their bags, because if you got Sui at $0.01 and now it's at $400, I mean, you don't care. Well, I think it's just because Ripple's the only one actually doing something that threatens the old system. So a lot of these other projects, I just don't think they really care that much because they know they're not competition. It's almost like Defin. Okay, awesome, Taylor. Thank you. Defin is almost like, why would they spend time suing a project that they know isn't that going to be important? You're just wasting your resources. You want to slow down the people who are a threat to you. So I think that's the biggest thing. I don't know if Brad specifically has done anything to piss people off. I think it's more just Ripple, the company, is a threat to a lot of different people, and therefore they're going to pull resources together to do whatever they can to try to slow Ripple down. Yeah, guys, make sure to smash that like button. Messy, thank you so much for saying that. Appreciate you guys so much for doing that and taking the time to make sure this stream does get viewed as much as possible. It's super helpful and makes a huge difference. Here we go. Courtesy of Taylor and Junk Link. Sui price sparks $400 million in insider selling. Despite concerns, Sui has rallied over 120% in the past month, currently trading at $2.25. The token up 16% in the week alone. However, allegations are surfacing regarding insider selling, according to the crypto analyst list. Light Wallet, tied to Sui's ICO, have reportedly sold over $400 million worth of tokens during this rally. These insiders, including large foundation wallets, allegedly accelerated sales at higher prices. Interesting. Interesting that they had an ICO too. It's like the ICO is the most obvious form of a securities offering out there, and yet the SEC is going after XRP, which didn't have an ICO. So there's the SEC logic for you. Yeah, I don't think it. I don't think it has anything to do with Sui being a bad project at all. Like, from everything I've heard from people think it's a very good project. I do worry about this idea of every single time a new faster blockchain comes out, you pivot to that new faster blockchain, right? I think that has the potential to be problematic. But I mean, in terms of people saying, or at least showing interest in Sui, I mean, it does seem like people are interested in it. We'll see how much of a role it actually ends up playing, and how important that role really is. But like I said, regardless, it does seem like it's doing some pretty interesting stuff. XLR seems like it's doing some interesting price action as well. We'll jump into some charts real quick. Let me share my screen. 1 second. So here's the XRP price chart. We actually got some pretty nice movement here. As you can see, we're really been consolidating on this bottom here and pulling off a bit, which is exactly what we wanted to see. I'd feel really good if XRP could get more towards the middle of this range and to start touching up against that 60-cent range. That would be really good. But in my eyes, the bottom looks in. That bottom looks in. That seems formed, and we're just waiting for a candle to go a little higher there. Yeah, I would be careful about getting into Sui now, but obviously you got to be able to make your own decisions there. I mean, it's one of those things where you want to buy it when it's dips, not when it's up. One of the things I'm targeting on a dip is XLR. We were calling this out at about 50 cents. XLR is a project that I think is doing very interesting things. They are essentially connecting blockchains together without a lot of risk associated with typical bridges. As we can see, XLR has actually done a nice bottoming formation here. It is now actually flipping this previous resistance and kind of showing a complete reverse in direction. So XLR looks very solid, especially now that it's kind of completed this, what it looks like to be the bottoming. Does the thumbnail still say CPI? Like, I changed that. It doesn't say it anymore on my screen. I don't know why some people are still getting that. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know. XLR partnered with Ripple? Absolutely. Firedog, good to see you. Oh, notifications. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I need to try to fix that. Yeah, it's just YouTube being weird. It's not the end of the world. Yeah, XLR up to 80 cents. Very good. Cool to see that. Big fan of what they're doing, and obviously the partnership with Ripple, I think, is going to do a lot of good things over the long run. We'll go back to XRP for a minute. Then we're going to take a look at Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is also doing some pretty important things. Yeah, what we're really looking for XRP to do is move back to the top of this range. There's no doubt about it. Get off this bottom. This has typically been a region where we get away from, we look pretty good. So we want to get back up here. It looks like December-ish, November, December could be that time period where we peel back up here and start putting some pressure on a breakout. We've now had many failed breakouts, but eventually we're either going to go up or we're going to go down in a really big way. My money is definitely on up. MPL, C Pool, MBD, Credit. Check them out. Sounds good. Appreciate that. 1970. What's MPL? Oh, Maple. This is an interesting price chart. It's a really interesting price chart. C Pool. I'm not messing with Liberty Financial. No. No, I'll check it out if it gets interesting, but not at the moment. I'm a little suspect to Liberty Financial. XP Market said, "Do I have any hunch when RLUSD launches?" I think they're just waiting for the trust license to clear. From my understanding, is they're issuing RLUSD out of the standard custody trust, and they're waiting for the New York Financial Services Department to actually clear that to happen. So I think that's the biggest backlog. It might have already happened, and they could be waiting to release that during Swell. I don't know. I would guess it would happen this week during Swell. To me, it seems like that would line up perfectly. That, or we're going to get some clarity on when it will launch at Swell. One of the two. What's bigger, XRP Ledger or XRP? I mean, it's kind of the same thing to a certain degree. I mean, not the same degree, but they both require each other, so they're both as important. Oh, nice. What am I buying Axelar at? Well, I was buying it like 50 cents. I'm not overly picky on the exact price I get it at, to be honest with you. I'm just happy to get some. For me, it's like we're like. Here's my thing with Axelar and a lot of cryptocurrencies. AX. It's like, look, based on the Axelar chart, it was trading at 20 cents, went up to $3, now went back down to between 25 and 50 cents. If I can get anywhere between 25, 50, even kind of at 80 cents, like, it's so early to this project. It's not hard for me to think that this thing could easily move past the $15 to $20 mark over the long run. So, like, I just don't stress that much on the actual price I try to get these things at. I know some people like to try to time the market perfectly and try to get entries at certain prices. For me, like, I just focus on accumulation and trying to get as much as possible. Because then over the long run, it really doesn't matter that much. Like when you think about it, guys, do you think people really are stressing whether they got Bitcoin at $200 or $500 or $1,000 or $30 or $25? It's like, yeah, it's great to have the lowest price possible, but over the long run, it was really just, were you buying Bitcoin? Like, the people who lost out the most were the people who were waiting forever to get their purchase in and never actually pulled the trigger. The people who did the best were the people who just bought and held. You have some scary news about Liberty Financial? Let me take a look. Firedog, can you DM my main account? I actually, I should be able to pull it up here. Let me see. Let me take a look. I can't find this DM at the moment. Oh, here we go. Oh, interesting. I'll have to keep an eye on that. Yeah, I generally agree, Taylor. I generally agree. It's like, does it really matter over that time period you're holding? I don't know. Just don't buy on green days. Yeah, if you just buy on red days, I mean, you're normally looking pretty good. I generally have that same mindset. Hold on, let's throw up this for a minute.
And it's come to that. Well, actually, you're a Perella Weidberg advisor, advisory partner, and a professor at Tulane University. You've had, biographies of some of the greatest men and women in history, and CNN and so many other things. But Elon Musk is a big enough person where his biographer can be Walter Isaacson in his own right, and that's okay. He's such a bigger than life character, and we need you to talk about him a lot.
Thank you, Joe. It was totally amazing to see those chopstick arms come on in and catch that booster. It's the largest rocket ever made. And not only did it land upright, which he's been able to do with his smaller rockets, but he didn't have landing legs. He used the chopstick arms. Nobody has been able to land a rocket upright and shoot it up again and reuse it. But Musk has done it more than 150 times with his Falcon 9. And now with this, he's able to do it with the biggest rocket ever made. I mean, China hasn't done it. Russia hasn't done it. NASA, Boeing, of course, hasn't been able to reuse rockets like that. And as you say, at the same time that he unveiled the cyber cab, running around, picking people up with no steering wheel and pedals, as well as Optimus the robot, which was serving drinks at the Cybercab unveiling. He also has been able to do that private spacewalk where he sent 4 people to the highest orbit we've done in about 40 or 50 years in this new spacesuit he built, and they were able to march. Plus, he's using his Dragon capsule to get the astronauts back from the space station that Boeing left stranded up there. So, and also even AI, y'all were talking about AI earlier. He's taken XAI and brought it up to near where Google is from scratch.
Yep, and save the Second Amendment and everything else. I saw some, I don't know what's AI and what's not, but I saw one of the robots, and I think it was an actual video, Walter, but he was kicking a football, actually kicking a field goal, and I mean, it was shocking to me to see that the moves that it made after it kicked it to stay balanced looked almost identical to the same moves that a human would make. Somehow they've programmed in exactly how the weight gets distributed after you make that move to be able to stay on its feet. It was that was mind-boggling to me too. I
remember 2 or 3 years ago being there as Optimus was being developed in the Tesla back studios. And you had to look to see, okay, the risk is actually, it's metal. It's not a real person. Because he's made it a little smaller than a human, but humanoid. And you're right. It's able to do things like, I remember when he was trying to figure out the fingers, and he was saying, how many degrees of rotation, how many digits should you have on each of the fingers? Do we really need all 5 fingers? And those hands are more dexterous than my hands are now. Like, maybe not saying much.
I don't know what we should be more impressed with, what evolution did in a couple of billion years. I mean, we are comparing it to what we do without even thinking about it. But so I guess both are marvels of both time and the double helix and everything else, the way it works. Walter,
Absolutely.
Is Waymo and was it disappointing? Is it not or had the stock already run up? I mean, how do you read the robo-taxi introduction? The stock
Well, let's
went
compare
down.
it to Waymo, which is doing quite well, but Waymo depends on maps and being in a circumscribed area where each part of the road has already been plotted on a map. The thing about Tesla is that it can do it anywhere because it's done through the cameras, and that is pure artificial intelligence. It's 1 billion frames of video per day being analyzed so that a car knows how to do what a really good human driver will do. So I think that's much more important than being able to say, okay, we'll do it in this part of San Francisco or in this area that's been mapped off, because that doesn't make a car very useful. I think Cybercab and when eventually, I mean, Musk way over promises, especially with the timelines on self-driving. But in a few years, when you truly get unsupervised full self-driving, it transforms transportation on this planet.
I've seen comments across the political spectrum about Elon Musk, and there's some people that want him to be even louder and more, I guess, controversial. But there's other people that really he's driving some of them crazy. And regardless of his accomplishments, they can judge him and disparage him totally based on appearing at a Butler rally with the candidate that they don't like or not their preferred candidate. He doesn't give a rat's patootie, I don't think, about what people say. Does he, Walter?
No, in fact, I wish he would give a little bit more of a care about what other people say. You and I are probably in different camps on this. I think that it would be really good if he would put down his Twitter feed for a while and not be as incendiary and divisive as he is politically. I think it's hurting Tesla car sales. I think it's distracting, as you say, from the sort of astonishing accomplishments of the past 2 weeks. But when you ask about Musk, most people say, oh, yeah, he jumped up and down at the Butler rally. I think all of that, I mean, I think that's ridiculous, but he doesn't really care. He's even his Tesla board of directors, even his brother, is like, calm down, get off the politics kick. Because it's certainly hurting Tesla. You look at the California Coastal Commission that has to decide or recommend whether or not he can launch rockets from Vandenberg Air Force Base, as they've done for 20 years. And as they're voting to maybe deny him the rights to do more rockets from there, one of the commissioners says, well, I've been reading his tweets, and it's bad politically. He's saying these horrible things. I think that's wrong to figure out whether you should shoot a rocket from Vandenberg based on the guy's tweets, but I don't think it helps him to do it. And even though
Yeah, that guy was actually the one who wrote the Elon Musk biography. He's actually a big fan of Elon Musk. He's just throwing his opinion out there. Wanted to see if he had anything interesting to say. Didn't really seem like it. Why is everyone saying this is going to be such a big week for XRP? Is it just because of the Swell event? No, I expect to hear something pretty interesting at that Swell event. We almost always get a new product or something like that, or some kind of news about some new partnership. So I do think we'll get an interesting piece of news in the next couple of days. The appeal needs to be submitted in the next 2 to 3 days. Otherwise, appeal will be thrown out by default. That's really interesting. That is really interesting. Okay. Einstein, I appreciate that. You're right. We were targeting this date the other day. I believe it's either the 17th or 18th. What the SEC needs to do is clarify what they're actually appealing, because the SEC said, hey, we're going to appeal, but they actually haven't put forth yet what they are appealing. So we're expecting in the next 2 to 3 days here, we will find out what the SEC is appealing. And then Ripple will be able to cross appeal here. And then that will essentially be the start of this brand new process. But that is kicking off right now. That should be this week. So that's another pretty massive event taking place this week, finding out the SEC is actually appealing. If we want to get into that side of things on what's the best case scenario, the best case scenario is that the SEC just appeals the fine. The worst case scenario is that the SEC essentially appeals everything. So we'll have to see exactly what the SEC is appealing. Working Money Channel saying the XRP ETF will have a 12% APY. I don't know about that. If it's not done by the 17th, there's probably a settlement. Yeah, I would agree, but I do expect to see that. Larson is speaking at what? Yes, Ripple is speaking on the 18th at the Federal Reserve. Yes, Chris Larson and Brad Garlinghouse. How is the CPI data? The CPI data was good, but a little hotter than expectations. Wasn't bad by any means. Guys, make sure to take a quick second if you haven't done this already and like the stream. It's going to take you like a couple seconds and it's going to make a huge difference in getting more people in here. Yeah, Ripple countersued, but first we need to find out what the SEC is actually suing for or what they're countersuing. So the SEC's appeal, they didn't make clear what they're appealing, and then Ripple will make clear what they're countersuing on. So there's a whole new process, but we should get some clarity on that this week to start telling us what exactly this next process is going to look like. BNY Mellon is speaking at Swell, absolutely. We can take a look at who's actually speaking at Swell. The list is very exciting, obviously. I wanted to share this with you real quick before we get into that. This is Bitcoin. Don't listen to anyone promising APY on an ETF. Yeah. And the ETF is tracking the price of XRP, so I do think there will be RLUSD news at Swell. I do think so. Ed, good to see you. Ed, the main things we're talking about are Swell this week, and then the SEC has to make their appeal filing this week for what they're actually appealing. Linda, good to see you. Can I explain why a settlement would be beneficial to Ripple? Well, the reason why it's beneficial to Ripple is because they can get out of this case. This case is holding back Ripple a lot and holding back a lot of partners who want to work with Ripple. So if they can get out of the case, then that's awesome. Oh, I think they're going to appeal. I don't think they're going to stop appealing. Let me make that very clear. I think I don't think there's any way the SEC is not going to go forward with the appeal. I think that's happening. I think things could change if Gary Gensler is out of the SEC. If Gary Gensler is out of the SEC, then I think things could change. But I don't think there's any way the SEC is dropping the appeal now. I think we're going to get that appeal 16th or 17th. Brian says we need 32 more likes to get to 200. Guys, really appreciate everyone going to drop a like in the stream and help get us to 200. And Brian, I appreciate you for helping out there. So here we go. Here's the Bitcoin price chart. Oh, that didn't work. Here's the Bitcoin price chart. And as we can see, Bitcoin is looking to actually break out of this channel we've been stuck in for a while. This would be extremely good for XRP if Bitcoin could get through here. And of course, that chart's not going to work. And now I'm blocking. So let me just fix this real quick. All right. So here's that Bitcoin chart we were just talking about. And as you can see, Bitcoin is really trying to get up and out of this thing. If we could do that, that would be an extremely good sign. An extremely good sign to be able to start breaking out and start making some new all-time highs. So looks like if Bitcoin was to get through that 64, 65 range, we could be looking really good. Right now, it's pushing right on that at the moment. And just kind of like XRP has been, Bitcoin's just been stuck in this range, trading sideways. We really want to see that break out there. Well, we were going to look at the Ripple Swell speakers as well. So let me pull that up. Pull that there. There. All right, let's take a look at those Ripple Swell speakers. I almost went to Ripple Swell. I had the invite and everything, but I got a really busy week, and it was just turning into a little too much. So let's take a look at who's going to be there. It looks like they've been actively adding people too, which makes sense. I mean, as people commit, they bring in more people. But let's take a look at some of these speakers here for Ripple Swell. Bloomberg Media is the official media partner, which someone said before. They're like, that's probably good for some big announcements. I agree. 1,250 people in here, guys. You guys are incredible. Thank you so much for coming. I saw a lot of people saying some really nice things earlier, saying best morning show around. You guys enjoy the show a lot. So thank you for that, guys. You guys are incredible. We'll get into this list in 2 seconds, just checking the news, making sure we're not missing out on anything important. You never know what's going to drop in the middle of a live stream. Is Shaggy going to be there? Who's Shaggy? Let's see. Brad Garlinghouse, superintendent of the New York Department of Financial Services. That's a big one. That's a really big one. Former chair of FDIC. Obviously, that's another big one. BV of A, large banking institution. Coinbase. Good to see Coinbase there. CME Group. CME Group is massive. Ripple, obviously. Revolut. Very forward-leading bank. Lead bank, don't know much about them, but good to see any bank there. Blockchain Association, interesting. Didn't really expect to see them there. Good to see them. MoonPay. Bitwise, obviously Bitwise coming out with their XRP ETF. 2TM. I don't know much about them. Oh, Mercado Bitcoin. They actually just announced a partnership with Ripple. So it's funny. It seems like a lot of these people ultimately either have a partnership with Ripple already or are looking to launch one. Crypto.com, Pantera Capital, Ripple, Bloomberg Intelligence, Chamber of Progress. I don't know much about them. Securitize. Good to see them. Big tokenization push. Ripple, Northern Trust, Gemini. Okay, looks like Gemini might have been a new addition. Good to see them. FV Bank, another bank. Archex. We know a lot about Archex. Now we're getting more into Ripple, Grayscale. Okay, cool. Grayscale is going to be there. Western Union. Interesting to see Western Union. We know there was talks about that partnership a while ago. Someone said Gary should speak. That would be funny. Ripple, Stripe. Stripe will be there for their crypto product and business. Interesting. Google Cloud. Ripple, PayPal, Robinhood. Yeah. No, Robinhood's a good one to see there too. Uphold. Yeah, I mean, guys, that's a pretty stacked list. I'm not sure. The only person on there who I think I would like to see who's not is like maybe like Bank of America. Would be great to see someone like Bank of America there, but BNY Mellon, obviously, this is a stacked up list. I don't know if I read BNY Mellon on this one specifically. State Street is there. Oh, yep, BNY Mellon right there. BCB. I mean, another slap in the face for the people who don't think banks are going to be using XRP. It's amazing how many banks are at Ripple Swell. And you know, one of the things I always get pushback on, and I think it's funny, is people come to me and say, oh, well, they're not using Ripple's ODL product. They're just using Ripple's messaging software. Guys, there's only one reason anyone would ever work for Ripple, and that is eventual access to XRP. I find it interesting that some people have such a hard time conceptualizing that, it's like Ripple is a cryptocurrency related company. Anyone coming to Ripple is doing so because they want to use XRP. It's surprising to me that people still have a hard time seeing that picture in place, right? But I think it's going to be one of those things where the people who couldn't wrap their head around that are just going to be the people who unfortunately end up missing out on the other side of this. Guys, little members only for the rest of this live stream. It was getting a bit chaotic, and I love that it is chaotic, and I love so many people in here, but give some extra question time to all the members. Make sure they can get in anything they want. BNY Mellon can give us income products just for holding with them. Absolutely. Mickle, Swell this week, Philly Federal Reserve next week, BRICS event with November 5th election. Yeah, there's a lot going on. So is the Federal Reserve, that Federal Reserve meeting with Ripple is on the 18th? I know I remember seeing that announcement, but I can't remember now. Matt Hogan from Bitwise said conservatively 1 trillion in stablecoins by 2026. I think we can easily see that 1 trillion in stablecoins. I think what we really need to see is that legislation to make it happen. When is John's debate again later this week? I think John Deaton's debate is either the 15th or 17th. I need to check up on that right now, Taylor, because I will be live streaming that for sure. That's going to be a really fun one to live stream. John, let me check my phone real quick. John Deaton. Warren. Wonder if it comes up on a Google search. $15th. What's today? 14th. So tomorrow. Wow. Okay. Gotta make sure we get. I get on that. October 15th. Does anyone have a time for that? I have it on the 15th. I've been on the 15th. I don't have a date. I don't have a time yet. Yeah, it's certainly the 15th. If anyone has a time, it'd be very helpful. $8:30 p.m., Roger? Awesome. Thank you. We'll make sure to go live for that. I'll send a reminder out. Okay, 8:30 p.m. the 15th. Awesome. Thank you so much, Roger. Really appreciate that a lot. Perfect. No, we'll live stream that for sure. That's going to be a good one. And I've said this multiple times. I think Elizabeth Warren's making a big debate. A big mistake debating John Deaton here. I don't know why you do that if you're Elizabeth Warren. Like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I would, if I was her advisors, I would be saying, do not touch John Deaton. This is the only thing that could ever come out of this debate is you hurting yourself by debating John Deaton. I am shocked that that is something. Checking the news real quick. What bank holiday in the US? I think is it Columbus Day today? Is it Columbus Day? I think it is Columbus Day. Everyone repost that. What did Eddie just post? Let me take a look. Flare presale? What is this? Everyone go repost that Eddie too. Is it the Flare thing, Taylor? Or are you talking about something else? Indigenous Peoples Day, yeah. Is it wrong for me to say Columbus Day? Is that now not allowed? That's funny. I would have. Oh, here we go. Oh, thank you, Taylor. Got it. Defin is up and on it. I just reposted it. Now I know what you're talking about. 1 hour debate, October 15th, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, with a live stream. Eddie's a champion for that. She's always on top of it. Always on top of it. She's incredible. Oh, the stock market's closed today? That's lame. They need to stop closing the stock market for holidays. It's getting a bit ridiculous. Like the crypto market's open 24/7. Like the stock market's got to figure it out. I always get so mad when I find out the market's closed. It's like I'm so excited to get the day started. I'll sit down when I get bored. I'll check out the markets. And then I find out the markets are closed for whatever reason. It's like, come on. I don't know if the market is closed, but I would assume it is. Is it open? Okay, market open, banks closed. They do have some funny reasons they'll close the stock market, so that's why I believed it. Okay. Joel, thank you. That's interesting. You never really know what's going to be open or what's going to be closed whenever these holidays come around. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Roger. Nice. Nice. I was about to say CNBC was acting like it would be. Oh, wait, this is important, actually. Hold up.
Need to address the local government debt, saying that these would be the most powerful steps in years to tackle these problems, including like a one-time debt swap program. Also mentioned the effort to address the problems in the property sector, saying that they would expand funding for unsold homes through special bonds that would go to the local governments. And then finally, the authorities had hinted that there would be ample room for deficit expansion, so greater government borrowing. Now, some investors were expecting to hear more. Most people wanted to see a firm headline figure when it came to fiscal spending. However, others saw the briefing more positively. For example, Bank of America called it a policy pivoting point. And of course, there's still anticipation that we could see some specifics down the road in the coming weeks when there's going to be a committee meeting at the end of this month. Now, the divergent views, as you could expect, played out in the markets, both in Shanghai as well as in Hong Kong and in the U.S. now. The need, though, for this effort became more apparent. We had a series of bad market numbers. For example, the core inflation figure was out over the weekend. It hit a new low since 2021. Export and imports figures came in saying that they were going to grow far less than expected for September. And then the credit and bank growth numbers also hit fresh lows. So a lot of reasons for the government to take some stronger action. Guys?
Eunice, we got these possibilities of further stimulus. At the same time, we've gotten reports about government officials detaining Taiwanese manufacturing personnel at a Foxconn plant. Today, Jim mentioned.
So the big thing right there out of China is more stimulus. What you're seeing is more of a global push to more stimulus, which in my opinion is going to be very good for the market. Oh, Joel, thank you, man. Really appreciate all the long-term viewers. One of the things that always blows my mind is people would be like, oh, I'm an OG of the channel. And I was like, oh, like that's super cool, whatever. And then they'll bring up something that was like, not even I remember doing from like 3 years ago when I first started. And it's super cool to see how people, I don't know, remember those early videos I made and have been here for so long. So all of you, I appreciate so much. And even if you're newer, right? It's great to have you and would love to have you as a subscriber and tune in for more of the updates I put out there. Like, it's a great community we've created here. I couldn't be more lucky to have such smart people who come in here each and every day, all looking to make each other better. It's really cool, but it's always really funny to hear about people's kind of first experience when they started watching, what they remember from the early days. I have people who like literally, when I first started my YouTube channel, I probably had like 30 subscribers, like 30 subscribers total. And that was before I was even making XRP content. It was just like random videos about investing. So what's funny is like those people just came along for the entire ride. Like they went to XRP, they started listening to those other things I was talking about, and they're like, yeah, I didn't even know about XRP. That's so funny, STM. Oh God, don't say that too loudly. I don't need a lot of people watching that. I almost deleted it at one point, but I was like, yeah, you know, I can't delete that. It's history. STM, man, that's awesome. Thank you. No, I know a lot of you have been here since like 2021 stage. It's crazy. It blows my mind. To me, it seems like I just started doing this yesterday, which probably sounds absurd, but I guess it kind of always feels like that. Here, I want to show you guys this real quick. This is Bitcoin against the NASDAQ, and what you can see is the blue line is the NASDAQ. Seems to be breaking out pretty nicely here. All while Bitcoin is trying to do this breakout. And when you compare Bitcoin also against MicroStrategy, which I can pull up in a second here, what you'll start to see is things actually look really good for Bitcoin in the next couple of days here, making that big move that we've been waiting for. And then I think on the other side of that, I mean, I just think it's a no-brainer that XRP and a lot of the other cryptocurrencies are going to follow. So to see the NASDAQ breaking out, to see Bitcoin breaking out, yeah, take a look at this. This is actually pretty shocking. So Bitcoin and MicroStrategies obviously should track each other pretty closely. But what you can see here is Bitcoin or MicroStrategy, the light blue line, is already making new all-time highs, all while Bitcoin's kind of lagging behind. So I would not be surprised here if we are really right around the corner from that Bitcoin breakout. It could be as early as today. It could be literally as early as today. As we talked about earlier, Bitcoin is pretty much already pushing up against that move. Problem is even if Bitcoin gets to 66,000, BlackRock pulls profit. Well, BlackRock just has an ETF. So it's important to realize that BlackRock is just doing what its customers want. I think the demand from BlackRock's ETF is going to far outweigh the supply created for a very long time. So I'm not too overly worried about BlackRock suppressing the market. Oh boy, I'm going to make the entire live stream yawn. Keep up to date on the news real quick. Want to make sure I don't miss anything here. Market's about to open. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of people hoping RLUSD will go live at Swell. I actually hope that we're getting a different announcement other than RLUSD. Just because we already know RLUSD is coming. We already know RLUSD is coming. So, like, give me something more. Give me something else. That'd be really cool to get something else other than RLUSD. But not that I'm not excited about RLUSD. I think I'm less excited than most people for RLUSD. I think RLUSD is going to be cool. I think it's going to bring a lot of money onto the XRP ledger. But I can't say I'm foaming at the mouth for RLUSD. Oh, Roger. I totally forgot. We wanted to take a look at the amendments. Totally forgot. Jump into that. I hope we get a settlement at Swell. Well, let me tell you guys about something that's not going to happen. We are not going to get a settlement at Swell. If Gary Gensler's gone for the SEC, I think there's a very good chance we do get a settlement in the near future. But this is going to be a pretty exciting thing that's right around the corner as well, guys, and not a lot of talk about this. Okay. Firedog not convinced yet. Firedog is still saying we could go sub 52K. Firedog, I'm not going to lie. I don't see that at the moment, but look, man, we'll see who's right. I think Firedog, we'd both agree that we're probably pretty close to seeing some kind of substantial move to the upside or downside here in the near future. It just seems like Bitcoin's been range bound for far longer than typical. Amendments, DID, 74%. We're very close to DID, guys. 3 more votes, and we're going live with DID. Obviously after the voting period, but DID looks like it's almost hit at this point. Price Oracle as well. Price Oracle is up to 65%. So DID and Price Oracle. Yeah, so Firedog, we both think we're close to something. I think I'm leaning to the upside. You're leaning to the downside a bit. We'll see what happens. At this point, Firedog, I'm just excited for something to happen. It's too much sideways. I think we can both agree on that. It's been a little too much sideways. Things have gotten a little stale here. I think I'm ready. I'm ready for the price to make up its mind. Yeah, DID should be very interesting. DID is going to be critical to any institution getting involved with the XRP ledger. So nice to see DID getting that momentum. $1,400 people here, guys. I appreciate you guys all so much. Make sure to go to this bottom of the screen, exit out of the live chat for a second, drop that like on the stream. Super, super, super helpful to getting more people in here. Let's see what we got. 335 people here, and a lot of people joining these last couple of minutes. So, guys, thank you so much. And make sure to drop that like on the stream as well. I know it doesn't seem like it would make much of a difference, but it does. It makes a huge difference. Close to 250 likes. Incredible. Thank you so much for everyone dropping those likes on the stream. DRM, good morning. Is range bound the new normal for crypto? No, it's not. I mean, RPM, that's the thing. When range bound starts to feel like the new normal, that means range bound is almost done. That's what happens, right? You get lulled into these boring periods and you're like, fuck, can't believe this is still going on. When is it going to be over? When is it going to be over? And then just like that, it's over. Like, that's just the way it works. And the longer it's range bound, the closer we are to coming out on the other side of things. I know it's not fun. I know it's boring, but every single time we have something like this, we make it through to the other side and we end up in a better position because of it. I don't think we talked about this much, and I'm going to save this for a little bit more of an in-depth conversation later. But this binomial case is insane. I don't know if you guys read up on this binomial case. The SEC is now suing the futures people who wanted to launch futures on the XRP ledger. And this thing was mind-blowing. Take a look at this. During discussions, the SEC offered to provide documents to explain its rationale and opinion. On August 23rd, 2024, the SEC sent to Binomial 3 summary judgment briefs from Ripple versus SEC out of the Southern District of New York, who analyzed and ruled on whether certain sales of XRP constituted securities investments. In these summary judgment briefs, the SEC asserted that the Ripple defendants violated Section 5 of the Securities Act when they offered and sold XRP to the public as an unregistered security. The SEC asserted that XRP is an investment contract under the test set forth by Howey. The SEC did not take note that the court rejected the SEC's argument that all XRP sales were issued as an investment contract, and therefore the sales of a security, instead of holding that in certain instances XRP was a security but others were not. So essentially, the SEC is trying to come back and say in another case that XRP itself is a security. It just shows kind of what we're up against here. This is an agency that would rather lie blatantly to courts than actually do the right thing. They're looking to do anything in their power to try to get control over this space. It's one of the reasons why I don't think there's any chance the SEC isn't going to appeal. I don't think there's any chance the SEC is going to drop anything. So long as Gary Gensler is there, this is going to continue to be a battle. But the good news about that is I don't think there's any chance in a million years this is going to end up remotely bad for Ripple. I think they're going to stay on top. I think the SEC has been a disaster in terms of how they handled this. And their main punishment, the main thing they have for holding Ripple and XRP back is simply time. But the time is going to end up winding out. They only have so much power over this entire thing through what they're able to do. So that's what's important right there. Eventually, the legal system takes over and they're running out of options. Silver Eagle Ranch, thank you so much for the $5 donation. And Firedog, thank you for the $4.99 donation earlier. Really appreciate you guys a lot. Guys, with all that said, we're going to stop it here. I got some things I have to get to. Guys, thank you so much for coming. You guys are all incredible. I'll talk to you all